Hello and welcome to my channel Malavika's Magic. Today I'll be sharing with you my views on cohesive devices. So first let me take you through the roadmap of my presentation today. So first I will be giving you an introduction on cohesive devices. I'll be explaining to you the meaning and concept of cohesive devices. Second, I'll be talking about the types. Third, I'll be talking about the use of these devices. And fourth, I'll be talking about the appropriateness of these devices. So let me first take you to the introduction. In the introduction, I'll be talking about the meaning and concept of the cohesive devices. So let us start with the help of an example. So we have two words over here, student and class. Now these two words actually they belong to the category of content words. In my previous video, I have dealt with what are content and structural words. So content words are words which have meaning even when isolated from the sentence. So if these two words have to be connected together in order to form a meaningful unit, I need to use some other words that will help me to connect these two words. So I can connect these two words with the help of the other words over here. So students sitting in the class. So in this way, I have connected these two content words together. So the use of the other words or the preposition, the determiners, okay, those words are called as the structural words. So these structural words help us to connect two or more content words together. Let us understand this with the help of another example. So we have two words, slow and steady over here. So slow and steady can be connected with the structural word and which is a conjunction. And since this is a phrase, and if I have to transform it into a sentence, I can use more content words together in order to change it into a sentence. So slow and steady wins the race becomes a sentence which forms a meaningful unit. So I've used the structural words, that is the conjunction and the determiner, in order to connect the structure content words together and to form a meaningful unit. Similarly, let us take this sentence. Mary went to work, John went to the party, I went home. These are three different sentences. And if I have to connect these three different sentences together in order to form one single sentence, I need to use certain structural words. So I can use like this: Mary went to work, but John went to the party and I went home. So the combination of the structural words help us to get a meaning that can be derived from these three sentences. Now, so we can understand that the structural words, they have meaning only when used in a sentence, and they help to connect two or more content words together. So the use of the structural or the grammatical words, as they're called, that itself is called as cohesive devices, and therefore we can say that cohesive devices are grammatical or structural words, and they help to link words, as we have seen in the first example, and they also help to link phrases, as we have seen in the second example. And in the third example, I have used the structural words in order to link the sentences. So having understood the concept of cohesive devices, let us now move on to the different types of cohesive devices. So broadly, there are three types of cohesive devices, and that is usually used by the writer. So we'll talk about these three types of cohesive devices. The first is the use of pronouns. The second is the use of prepositions. And the third is the use of conjunctions. So in today's video, I'll be talking about the use of pronouns. So let us move on to the use of pronouns. So in the pronouns, I'll be talking about the 9 different types of pronouns the writer uses while writing a paragraph, an article, or an essay. So let me first tell you about which are the 9 types of pronouns. The first is the possessive pronoun. The second is the personal pronoun. The third is the relative pronoun. The fourth is a reflexive pronoun. The fifth is the indefinite pronoun. The sixth is a demonstrative pronoun. The seventh is the interrogative pronoun. The eighth is the intensive pronoun. And the ninth is the reciprocal pronoun. So we will be dealing with all these different types of pronouns in greater detail. So let me start with the possessive pronoun. So here, possessive pronoun, as you can see from this picture, these are the words his, mine, hers, yours, theirs, and ours. Now these possessive pronouns help us to show ownership, or it helps us to show the relationship. Now, we all know that pronouns are used in order to replace the nouns, in order to avoid the monotony of a particular passage or a particular paragraph, an article, so or an essay. The writer uses the pronouns to replace the nouns, and this is a very common way the writer uses the cohesive devices. The writer does not want the readers to get bored by by repeating the noun over and over again. So therefore, the writer uses the pronouns in order to replace the nouns. So one type of replacing the noun is through using the possessive pronoun. So the example that I can give is, this toy is mine. So even I can say that that toy is yours, that toy is hers. So that this is the way the possessive pronouns are used. Now let us move on to the next type of pronoun, that is the personal pronoun. The personal pronoun, as you can see from this picture, it refers to people. So I, we, she, and he. It also sometimes refers to animals, or it refers to objects. So let us take an example over here. So as you can see, these are the different types of personal pronoun. So I will frame a sentence and I'll show you. I am afraid of dogs. Now I'm using the pronoun I in order to frame this sentence. I'm afraid of dogs, what I'm afraid of. And then I can use another way, the personal pronoun. The toaster gets really hot when it heats bread. Now I'm using the word it, which refers to the toaster over here. So instead of repeating the word toaster, which would mean that I am repeating the word toaster, as well as I am increasing the boredom for the readers, or I'm not allowing the readers to get drawn to my text or drawn to what I'm writing, I can use the pronoun in order to avoid those kind of distraction for the readers. And that makes it more easier for the readers to understand. So I'm using the personal pronoun it over here in order to represent the word toaster. So having understood the personal pronoun, let us move on to the relative pronoun. The relative pronoun connects the dependent clauses with independent clauses. So an example over here, I do not want to eat a meal that is too spicy. Now, here I have used the word that in order to connect the independent clause with the dependent clause. Now, in this way, I can use other words. For example, I can use which, whose, when, where, whom. All these words can be used in order to connect the independent clause with the dependent clause. So that makes it more meaningful, rather than framing another sentence, another simple sentence. This way, if I am doing it, it becomes easier for the readers to understand, and moreover, it also becomes more readable for the readers. So when I'm using the pronouns as a cohesive device, I have to make sure that I do not use the cohesive devices unnecessarily, or rather the cohesive devices should be used in order to simplify the text, in order to simplify the content, in order to simplify the concept or the meaning that I want to convey to my readers, rather than to make it more complex. So if I use the cohesive devices in order to increase the complexity of the paragraph, or I do not use the cohesive devices appropriately or correctly, it will be very difficult for the readers to understand. So we should therefore have a proper understanding of how the pronouns can be used when we are writing a sentence. Now, let us move on to the next type of pronoun, that is reflexive pronoun. The reflexive pronoun, as you can see, can be used in the singular as in the plural form. So in the singular form, I have this example: I was in a hurry, so I washed the dishes myself. Or in the plural form, I can use it this way: our children walk to school by themselves. Now, this reflexive pronoun, most of the time, students, they tend to make a mistake by, using the reflexive pronoun at the beginning of a sentence, especially when they are asked to introduce themselves. So it is incorrect, because you cannot begin the sentence with a reflexive pronoun. You can write the reflexive pronoun in between the sentence or at the end of the sentence, but not at the beginning of the sentence. So therefore, this mistake should be avoided when we are using the reflexive pronoun. Now let us understand the next type of pronoun, that is the indefinite pronoun. The indefinite pronoun, as the name suggests, refers to unknown nouns. For example, words like anything, anyone, nobody, somebody, all these are examples of indefinite pronouns. And so the pronoun that is unknown or undefined refers to indefinite pronouns. For example, these are the various examples that we have for indefinite pronouns. So if I frame it in a sentence, I can have this pronoun, use this pronoun like this: can anyone help me? So here I'm not specifying whose help do I want over here. So here I'm talking about anyone, means anybody who is around me can help me. So again, another way of using the indefinite pronoun is from this example, you can see both are great choices to wear tonight. This is also an example of indefinite pronoun. So we are not specifying exactly to what we are referring to. So having understood this indefinite pronoun, let us now move on to the next type of pronoun, that is the demonstrative pronoun. Now, this demonstrative pronoun, the examples are those, that, this, and these. Now, this pronoun is very commonly used as a cohesive device by the writers. Moreover, it is a very useful tool when you're using this type of cohesive device. So again, as I told you, the pronouns are used in order to replace the noun. But when you are using the demonstrative pronoun, we are actually helping the readers to recollect what the writer has said earlier. We are helping the readers to go back to what the writer has said earlier. And this actually helps the reader to retain the information that the writer is sharing with the readers. So it represents something that has been previously mentioned, as I've already told you. And the example could be, this is very yummy. So when I'm using the word this as a demonstrative pronoun, so I must have spoken about, the particular, food or the particular dish that I'm talking about. So in the previous part of the paragraph or in the previous sentences. So therefore, I can use the demonstrative pronoun over here in order to refer to that particular food. Another example would be, could you help me move these? So the demonstrative pronouns are very useful tool, for the writers. And also it is a useful tool in terms of the cohesive devices that the writer uses while writing. Now let us move on to the next type of pronoun. That is when we use the pronoun in order to ask questions. For example, who won yesterday? Whose is this? What is this? We are actually referring to interrogative pronouns. So interrogative pronouns are used to ask questions. And this again, when in conversations, these interrogative pronouns are used. So next, let us move on to the intensive pronoun. Intensive pronouns are actually could be used in the singular form or it could be used in the plural form. In the singular form, I can say, I built this house myself. In the plural form, I can say that we will have to escape the island ourselves. Now, you might have noticed that the intensive pronouns also include words like myself, ourself, yourself, which I have already dealt with in reflexive pronouns. So the words are the same. So what is the difference between intensive and reflexive pronoun? So let us understand the difference between reflexive and intensive pronouns over here. Reflexive pronouns, the subject and the object of the sentence is the same. So Sally introduced herself to the class. This is an example where the reflexive pronoun is used. So Sally is the one, Sally introduced Sally to the class. So Sally is the subject as well as the object of the sentence. And so I am using the word reflexive pronoun over here, herself, in order to represent Sally and not to anybody else. Now, when you're talking about intensive pronoun, we are actually emphasizing the subject by replacing it. So, for example, Ram himself is the author of the book. Now, I could have written the sentence like this, Ram is the author of the book. But since I want to emphasize that Ram is the author of the book, emphasize the subject. So, therefore, I'm using the intensive pronoun over here, himself. Ram himself is the author of the book. So having understood the subtle difference between reflexive and intensive pronouns, let us now move on to the reciprocal pronouns. Now, in the reciprocal pronouns, the two people have to be involved, where they have to carry out an action, and both of them will be either benefiting from the action, or they will be bearing the consequences of the action simultaneously. So here is an example. Mary and John gave each other gold rings on the wedding day. So here we have Mary and John, the two people who are involved in a particular action, and they are also benefiting from that action. So the reciprocal pronouns could be in terms of when two people are talking to each other, or when two or more people are fighting with each other or having an argument with each other. These are the reciprocal pronouns. Now, having spoken to you about all the pronouns, I would say that the pronouns have to be used appropriately if you have to guide the readers towards the meaning that you want to convey as a writer. So then if the pronouns are not used inappropriately, then obviously there could be confusion in the minds of the reader. So therefore, we have to give a very careful thought to the use of the pronouns that we have discussed today. I hope you have all understood the concept of the pronouns. I thank you all for your patient listening. And in my next video, I'll be dealing with the concept of prepositions, and in my subsequent video, I'll be dealing with the concept of conjunctions as a cohesive device. Thank you once again.